Welcome to the television campaign of Armenia broadcast for today. With Moreno Ocampo talked about the possibility of the return of Armenians of Artsakh. The ancient temple cave on the top of Mount Argeos. Azerbaijanis present the monastery complex of Amaras as an Armenian monastery. Geghard Foundation. Baku demands to stop the activities of the UAU mission in eastern Armenia. There are remains that are not subjected to a DNA. Anahit, Avanesyan. Anthony Blinken appealed to Baku. Mount Ararat was again covered with snow. With Moreno Ocampo is convinced that the people of Artsakh can return to their homeland. The blockade in the Berzor Road and the mass escape of the people of Artsakh he called as genocide and mentioned that the rights of the Armenian people must be restored. The former chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court also highlighted the issue of 23 Armenian hostages in Baku prison. Mount Argeos is located in Caesarea region of Cilicia. The cave at the top of Mount Argeos is considered to be a temple in ancient time. It has stood for thousands of years and maintained its historical significance. To reach the cave, visitors have to overcome a height of 3,917 meters. The inscriptions found inside the cave are presented by the Turkish media as Aramaic, but the shape of features of the letters definitely confirm their Armenian origin. This is another example that Turkey every time attempts to distort Armenian history, though the clearly visible Armenian letters on the walls of the cave cannot be denied or attributed to other cultures. On the slopes of the Argeos, there used to be the Saint Karapet Monastery. According to some historical sources, it has existed since the 4th century. The monastery and the cave are evidence that this area is Armenian. Argeos is another testimony of the historical Armenian land which continues to preserve its Armenian identity despite all the distortions. Amaras is one of the most famous monastery complexes in Artsakh. According to the 5th century historian Pavlos Buzan, St. Gregorius Church was built by Gregory the Illuminator in Amaras at the beginning of the 4th century. It was completed by his grandson Gregorius, who, according to the Armenian historian Movses Gaghard, was buried on the eastern side of the church. It is impossible to imagine that Amaras could be an Afghan cultural structure. It was one of the spiritual and cultural centers of the Armenians of Artsakh and Utik. Moreover, it was outside the territory of Afghan. Geghard Foundation informs about this. At the beginning of the 5th century, Mesop Mashtot founded the first school of Artsakh here. Amaras was one of the spiritual and episcopal centers of the Artsakh-Utik region. Over the centuries, the monastery was destroyed by foreign conquerors several times. In the 15th, 16th centuries, many Armenian manuscripts were written and copied here. In 2023 September, Amaras was occupied by Azerbaijani army. In Baku, they demand to stop the activities of the mission of the European Union in Eastern Armenia. The deployment of the forces of any third country on the territory of Armenia causes concern. Hikmet Hajiev, assistant to the president of Azerbaijan and head of the foreign policy department of the administration, told journalists about this. There are relics of those killed in the 44-day Artsakh war, which are not subjected to DNA testing due to the degree of damage. Minister of Health Anahit Avanesyan told journalists about this. There are remains that have been identified but are not buried at the moment. Work on this matter is ongoing with the parents and relevant departments, the Minister of Health noted again. The United States calls on Azerbaijan to stop the escalating pressure on mass media and civil society. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken wrote about this. We call on Baku to respect its international human rights obligations and release those unjustly detained people, including Rufat Zafarov and others who have been detained for their human rights work, he wrote. Snow has fallen again on the top of Mount Ararat, creating unique beautiful scenes. The symbol of the Armenian highlands, the highland of which is 5,147 meters, is a favorite place for mountaineers. The peak covered with snow and clouds gave a new breath to the majestic image of the mountain and emphasizes its uniqueness. This was all for today. I wish you a good weekend. Goodbye.